So my name is Matt Nickoson. I'm the lead pastor at Kingsway Christian Church in Avon, Indiana. I came just over 15 years ago. September of 2024 would be 15 years. I worked alongside the only pastor our church had ever known for about 9 months, and then he retired, and I got to take over. There's a phrase that's gone around for hundreds and thousands of years in the church, and that is, in essentials, we want unity. In non-essentials, we want liberty, and in all things, love. And that guides how we talk about things. But the reason you see so many different churches in America and around the world today is because everybody's fighting over what is essential and what isn't essential. There was a gentleman in my church who was reading a book by Eric Metaxas called Letters to the American Church. He was very passionate, fired up about the book, and he gave it to me, and I finally got around to reading it. And when I read it, I knew I've got to do something. I got to say something. I can't keep my mouth shut. But I didn't agree with all of Metaxas' conclusions. Eric says in his book that he's writing in direct response to a guy named Andy Stanley, so I decided to go get Andy's book, and I read Andy's book as well. And I found myself immediately wrestling with these two extremes. One is saying the church needs to keep its mouth shut on these issues and just love people, win them to Jesus. And Eric's saying if the church doesn't speak up, we're going to end up like Nazi Germany. So what I did is I brought my elders into the process. I had them read both books, and over the next 30 days, we read them and then had a couple of conversations where we planned out a sermon series. And I'm going through that sermon series right now. And it's going well, but I've also tried to not speak where the Bible doesn't speak, and that creates some tension for some people in my church. It's been very, very enlightening to talk about some of these things that I'm being convicted about from the stage with my congregation, and then to get emails back from people, some who are mad that I didn't say more, and some who are so thankful. I just got one just a couple days ago from a gentleman saying my last sermon where I talked about not arguing over disputable matters, as Paul talks about in Romans 13 and 14, and how he's like, this has been revolutionary for my wife and I. Some of these political things come up, we watch a video, and we're able to use the language you gave us to have the conversation. So I've seen it as my role not to say, God would do this, God would do that. I've tried to say that when I think it's clear, but to say, here's how we carry ourselves as believers in a society that is pluralistic and divided. How do we narrow these things down? Generally speaking, I don't see myself as an expert on a lot of things. I see myself as a learner. And so I'm constantly listening to podcasts, listening to people talk, and taking in their thoughts as I'm processing what the Lord wants for me. This Congregations and Polarization study has been so good for me. And I remember one specific phone call as I listened to one of the priests talk. And first of all, I had this profound jealousy in my heart as he talked, because he said something to the effect of, I hear you Protestant guys say XYZ. He said, that's been settled for us. And I walked away going, yes. Like for him, they've got documentation, lots of stuff written on how they approach these issues. For me, I have to go listen to hundreds of hours of stuff, study, learn to come to a conclusion, and I have to do that on all these subjects. This study helped streamline that for me by bringing in a variety of voices and perspectives so that I could listen and learn. And another one of those Zoom calls, another priest ironically said, this is so critical for me, he said, it's okay for a person to be passionate that we should have more security at our borders and also create programs and ministries to be compassionate toward every immigrant living among us who's now our neighbor. And that was so, in fact, I literally called my last sermon Passionate Compassion, because that was so informative for me to go, that's what I've been trying to figure out. I can have opinions about political things as long as if it's a disputable matter, I don't let it come between us, and still be compassionate for what people are dealing with. So again, as a variety of people are talking, I can literally say, I completely disagree with you about the sexual ethic that we should hold as a human being in America. But I can love you and accept you get to make your choices in this world. I'm gonna serve you to the best of my ability, even if I disagree with the way you're living. I can be passionate and compassionate.